Good afternoon and welcome to this Wednesday Wisdom on Thursday. Yeah, I had the opportunity to uh, help my son yesterday, and it was really the perfect storm for us because we were able to get not just me, but my son-in-law and my daughter and my wife and all of us were able to gather to help him as he goes through this period of transition, which we're excited for him and are looking forward to see what potential is going to come out of this move for him. He's a very bright, smart kid, good musician, excellent graphic designer. Going to be moving up to, we think, the Asheville, North Carolina area. We're not 100% sure. We'll know for a fact that's where he is when he gets there. But it's an exciting time for him, and it's an exciting time for us. And we're just honored that we were able to help him yesterday. So if you were expecting to see me yesterday and you didn't see my note, I did take a little time off and to go help him. But I'm back today to share the message that I had prepared for yesterday. And I went back into my journal and pulled out one of my favorite topics. And one of those topics that I just love to talk about because it's one that has so much impact on our success, on our future. If we choose to do the things we need to do to work on it. So today I want to talk a little bit about potential. You know, I remember growing up that I was always told, you are never going to reach your potential. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're never going to make it. Well, fortunately, I did make it, and I have survived and succeeded in many ways. And on that journey, I learned a lot of lessons about expanding and growing my potential. You know, and since being a part of the John Maxwell team and being mentored by many of their teaching teams and a lot of their mentors and folks on their teams, you know, you think that someone who is as far along in my journey that maybe I've already sharpened the saw is about as sharp as I'm going to get it, but I got news for you. That's absolutely not the case. And for at least the last 8 years, I have been intentional in sharpening my saw to help me grow and reach a level of potential that I really did not visualize 8 years ago. So let's talk about potential for a minute. Let me just go to my notes. It says, you know, potential is having or showing the capacity to become or develop into something in the future. Developing into something in the future. It's not today, but it's what we do to grow to that level of success in the future. It's where we improve our skills or develop our talent or increase our abilities, our qualities, our quantities to become the best versions of ourselves. And so as we think about potential, I'm reminded that, you know, Maslow talked about the hierarchy of needs and all the steps to get there. And he talked about self-actualization. And that self-actualization is that fully achieving your potential in a certain journey. For me, I discovered what self-actualization and reaching my potential was all about when I served in the recruiting program with the Air National Guard. I started at the bottom as a bag-carrying recruiter who was out on the streets recruiting young men and women into the Air Force and the Air National Guard. And then I moved into a leadership role where I was responsible for the South Carolina Air National Guard's recruiting program. And then I got promoted to the chief of recruiting operations for the entire Air National Guard. The pinnacle of that career field, the top of the heap. I was the top. I was the boss. Although I did not use that word. I was the chief the chief of recruiting operations. It was at that point that I understood what Maslow's hierarchy of needs meant when he talked about self-actualization. And I recognized that I had reached the level of potential that I had never visualized. And fortunately, I have mentors along the way to help me on that journey. You know, it's about reaching our potential that helps us move forward. It requires us to follow a designed process. And that's what changed the trajectory for my journey. Is an individual sat down with me one day and he said, Jim, where do you see yourself from here? While you're from this place you're staying right now. I was the chief of recruiting for South Carolina Air National Guard. Where do you see yourself from here? Going from here? I gave him the big, I don't know. I don't have a clue. And that's when he said, well, let's map out a plan. And that plan was either to move into the chief of recruiting with the Air National Guard or some other position that allowed me to expand and grow. But it was him sitting down with me and mapping out a plan and putting in place procedures and steps to get me to that next level. You know, and it reminds me that, you know, he talked about, okay, you're the best recruiter we got. That's why you got the job. It's no longer important there. You need to now start thinking about investing in yourself and growing yourself. It was at that point where a huge transition took place on my journey, which reminds me of what Jim Rohn said some time ago. He said, we need to spend more time on developing ourselves than we need to spend on developing our careers. And so it was at that point that I started developing myself, started studying self-development and personal growth. It was at that point where I knew that I needed to take steps to go to the next level and that I needed to spend time investing in myself to become the best version of me. And that wasn't easy because I was a pretty hard case to work. But to grow, to reach our potential, we must grow. And to grow, we must be intentional about it. And that's what I did. And that's how I started that journey, is I became intentional long before I learned about John Maxwell's law of intentionality, which, by the way, is one of my all-time favorite, that comes from his 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Because it is about being intentional. But I'm also reminded about James Allen and what he said in his book, As a Man Thinketh. And he said that people are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling, listen to that, are unwilling to improve themselves. And therefore, they remain bound. They stay there. They're stuck. And as my friend Paul Martinelli used to say, stuck stinks. Nobody wants to be stuck. Nobody wants to be in that gutter. You know, you want to be out of the gutter. You want to be doing the things that you need to do to grow and become your best version. You know, we just have to strive for a little bit more. You know, it's like Maxie Dunham said this. Oh, I'm sorry, Max Dupree. Max Dupree said this. He says, we cannot become what we need to be by remaining what we are. So that means we've got to do something different if we want something different in this life and in this journey that we're on. Oh, by the way, that's a Zig Ziglar quote that I use frequently in my speeches at Toastmasters. We need to discover our sweet spots. We need to work on those things that we know that are going to take us to that next level. For me, the last 4 or 5 years, probably more than that, I've been working specifically on becoming a better speaker. I joined Toastmasters. I give speeches almost every week. I became a distinguished Toastmaster. I entered contests so that I would be able to compete. You know, the best way to become better is not only to speak, but to be in competition with others. That calls on you to do your very best. This year, I entered our district contest and I won the contest. And it didn't just happen. It's been a period of time in which I've practiced and I've studied and I've learned and I've had mentors to help me go to that next level. So I want to share a few things with you today that can help you improve and reach your potential. And number one is we've got to be true to ourselves. You know, tell yourself the truth. Where are you really today? Are you really on a journey somewhere? Or are you just sitting there, you know, like Will Rogers would say, you know, even when you think you're on the right track, if you don't move, you'll still get run over by the train. So be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Tell yourself where you really are. Tell yourself really where do you want to go and be honest about it. And if you don't know, that's what you need to find. That's when you need to find somebody who can help you along the way. A coach, a mentor, a friend, someone who can drive you in the direction that helps you understand more about where you need to go. And here's something else that you can do that will help you grow your potential. You know, it's not about you all the time. Sometimes it's about others, and you need to help others along the way. So you got to add value to yourself so you can add value to others. Make every day your masterpiece. What does that mean? That means you got to give it 100% every day. You got to give it your best every day. And as one of my favorite coaches ever, John Wooden said, he says, drink deeply from good books. Drink deeply from good books. And he said, especially the Bible. But I shared with some of my friends that I'm in a mastermind group with the other day. I shared 2 books with them. And I tell you what, they just were excited about it and said, man, I'm so glad to add more books to my journey to read. And so read, study, listen to the thought leaders who are out there making a difference. Make friendship an art. Find a way to develop friends. I got so many, I'm trying to decide which ones I want to share here before I move on. Okay, I'll give you one more. This is a good one. Count your blessings every day. Be filled with gratitude. And if you'll take those steps and you'll apply them to your life every day, it will help you become your best version. It will help you reach your highest level of potential. You know, John Maxwell's book, 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, is perhaps one of my favorite. He says a lot of great things in that book that I think are important. And he talks about the gaps that hold us back from growth. Now, I'm not going to share with you those today, but I will share one with you because it's one that really, really is important. And this is one that a lot of people stumble and fall with, is we try to be perfectionist. And I'll tell you right now, this is not a perfectionist game. This is making small steps every day in a positive direction and doing those things that will help you reach and grow your potential to take you to your highest level of success and to become your best version. So I hope this information was of value to you today. I enjoyed sharing with you on this Thursday version of Wednesday Wisdom. And I look forward to being back with you again next Wednesday as we take on another subject about becoming our best version and about being the best that we can be every day and to develop ourselves to the level of success that we were called to be, and we were all called to be very successful on our journey. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Y'all have a great day.